break it down.
Alright, so we did not roll him, unfortunately. Let's go take a look at him, though. So he obviously looks very cool, as I mentioned earlier. And this, if these stats are right, which I believe that they are, then I think we could have ourselves a monster DPS area of attack. It really does depend on a couple of factors, though, and I'll kind of walk you through sort of my thought process with regard to what factors would make this guy a beast and what factors would make him a bad baby. Oh, he looks pretty cool, though. There's no way. I mean, look at that guy. That is so cool looking. You got to admit that that is awesome. Okay? And so what we're talking here is this. Let's just look at this for a second. Let me take you through something. So Vlad Dracula, when you looked at Vlad Dracula on paper, you said to yourself, you know what? Heh, meh. You would say meh. Because out of these heroes, Vlad Dracula, Immortep, Spirit Mage, Thunder God, and even Death Knight, Vlad Dracula looks the worst on paper. Because you can see how it says it causes 70% damage and inflicts fear for 1.5 seconds. It's got this long cooldown. The cooldown never drops. This 70 only goes up by 10% per level to a max. I think it goes up to 20 a little bit later, but it starts going from 70 to 80 to 90 to 100 to 110 to 120, blah, 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 all the way up to 180. And you say, meh, 180. And why do you say meh? You say meh because when you look at it here like Immortep, okay, it says it deals 120% damage and inflicts a coma for 6 seconds. So it sort of feels like, how it's written here, that Immortep is better than Vlad Dracula. And what we know about Vlad Dracula is that how this ability works is a little bit different. It's very different. He's just a beast, how everything stacks together and how he deals damage to waves, and it is just absolutely crazy awesome. And he is awesome, and he has high sustainability because he heals himself, and he also fears and kind of makes all the other heroes panic, and it's just an insane amount, hundreds of thousands of damage. There's some YouTube videos at 9 to 9, this guy doing 100,000 per tick, and it's just insane, but it doesn't look insane on paper. And then you get to Immortep, and it looks, a little bit better. It goes from 120 all the way to 280% damage. But let's compare that to Spirit Mage. Spirit Mage is even a little bit better, so 200% damage to 2 targets to 360 to 10 at 9 of 9. I'm going all the way to 9 of 9, so 360 damage to 10 targets. Sorry if you couldn't see that before. So Vlad Dracula goes from 70% to 180. Immortep goes from 120 to 280. Spirit Mage goes from 200 to 360. Next comes Thunder God, okay? Thunder God, if you kind of look at it compared to Spirit Mage, so Spirit Mage goes from 200 to 360. Thunder God goes from 200 to 440. It scales better. And he obviously inflicts a coma, but his range is, as we know, much shorter. And then kind of comparing these two together, it's kind of an interesting one. Spirit Mage and Thunder God, they look great on paper, but still we know, I would say Vlad Dracula and Immortep are equivalent. Well, Immortep I'd say at least equivalent to Spirit Mage and Thunder God, but Vlad Dracula is clearly better than these two. Now let's just go to Death Knight, though. So no, let's just remember this. So Thunder God at this point looks the best on paper, goes from 200 to 440 to some number of targets, and also stuns. Goes to Death Knight, goes from 160. Now look at the scaling on this. This is kind of crazy. Goes from 160, and then it goes up 40, 40, 40, 40, 40, 40, 40. And you can see here that it deals 540% AoE attack to nearest foe. For 4 seconds, nearby allies are immune to 1 debuff. Cooldown 5 seconds, and it scales down. So it starts at a cooldown 8 down to 5. And oh, by the way, he has level 5 revive. So even if you kill him, he comes back and kills you. So that makes this very interesting. So is it going to be like a Thunder God? Let's just ignore the revive for a second. Is it going to be like a Thunder God where it's sort of meh? It looks good on paper, but it's meh? Or is it going to be... Is his ability going to work sort of centered around him like Vlad Dracula's does? And then is it going to be more epic than it is on paper? Because if that's true, if how do you be more epic than this? I mean, Vlad Dracula is epic, and I'd say a top 5 hero for sure, without a doubt, probably top 3. Causes 180% damage and inflicts fear for 1.5 seconds. Summon bats for 4 seconds. Okay, so summon bats for 4 seconds. Maybe that's the keyword there. Where here it says, look at this, deals 540 area for 4 seconds. But does the 4 seconds mean nearby allies are immune to stun? And this ability doesn't tick, tick, tick. It just boom bursts like once, like a burst, like a Thunder God burst, and it doesn't tick, tick, tick. So that's going to be the real decision on, is Death Knight worth rolling for? And once we see some more content on that, I think we will know. It won't take long. And I got 3,000 gems, so boom, I'm going to roll those suckers and get them on the first day. And it will be awesome. He is an awesome hero. I mean, he looks awesome. Level 5 revive off the bat. That right there is pretty cool. That means you can toss him out there on a battle altar right away on day 1. I don't care what level he's at. You always put him on an altar. He is going to be highly sustainable, high survivability because of the revive. He doesn't heal himself like Vlad Dracula, but in my opinion, you really can't just compare Death Knight to Vlad Dracula. You really have to look at the history. You have to look at Vlad Dracula to Amortep to Spirit Mage to Thunder God to Death Knight. Now, I left some heroes out, like, you know, I left Minotaur out and Multanica and stuff like that, just because I think that they're sort of a different nature, if you will. I also left out Orcsbane because I feel that's a little bit different nature. And I left out Santa Boom just because I feel like Death Knight is some sort of hybrid between Vlad, Amortep, Spirit Mage, and Thunder God. Also, we don't know his range. It says he deals damage to the nearest foe, so that obviously means he's melee, and he has to be attacked. But how far is that area of effect range? Is it something like Spirit Mage Unlimited or Thunder God sort of medium range? Or is it more like Amortep? Vlad Dracula stays right on you. So that's my thoughts on this, guys. That's where I'm coming at. And obviously I did not get him on Taiwan. That would have been epically awesome, but I didn't do that. So as always, keep it dirty and dirty up. Good luck rolling if you do decide to roll.